just want to tell you briefly a little bit about the Extension Office in case you have never used the Extension Office. We're an outreach of the University of Georgia. It's through all land-grant universities. Does anybody know what the land-grant university in Alabama is? Or do you know what a land-grant university is? Okay. Sorry about that. I'll explain that in just a minute. But anyway, back in the early, well, it's been 150 years ago, through the Smith-Lever Act the extension was created. But land-grant universities were created even before that, and the purpose was that each state would have a university that studied agriculture, because agriculture was that important. You know, and that's how you know, you go back and think about it, that's how we settled everything. Used to, we were moving west trying to find more buffalo and stuff, and it wasn't until we started farming that we realized that's how we kind of settled down. So each state has a land-grant university. And even though you might, like I said, it's Auburn is in Alabama. Right. South Carolina. Which one? Clemson's in South Carolina. Here is the University of Georgia, University of Florida, and then you've even got Cornell and Rutgers up in New York and New Jersey. So every one of them has those, you know. And what our job is Extension, they do a lot of research, and they've got the research there, but they needed a body or tool or whatever to be able to go from the research to the everyday person, because sometimes research gets kind of way out there. So we kind of take some of that and make it where everybody can understand it. We also do the 4-H club. So if you were in, you know, young and then the 4-H went to summer camp or whatever, we did that. And we also have Family and Consumer Science, which that program is still strong, but not as strong as it used to be, in the fact of canning, freezing, things like that, which we've got information outside. Any of the bulletins outside, you're welcome to. That's what they're there for. And like I said, a lot of these we'll cover through the slides and through conversation, but I kind of like to use this sometimes to just to get some things to thinking, and you know, and no, I'm not grading. I'm not, you know, doing anything like that. Okay, what is pH?
The acidity of the soil.
It's, you know, you see it in so many things, whether it be drinking water, shampoo, everything else. I don't have it on here. What is the scale?
1 to 11 or 12?
14. 1 to 14. Yeah. So 7 is neutral. So when you see that term pH balanced, you know, it's talking about it's usually at a pH of 7. Now, most plants like it a little bit on the acidic side, 6 to 6.5. Now, I will say something that I'm speaking a term and I don't really know what exactly I'm talking about. So it is a logarithmic scale, and that's, I mean, it's not like from 1 to 2, 2 to 3 is the same thing. The further down it gets, it's exponentially different or something like that. Okay, there, number 2. What can the pH be changed, and if so, how? What chemicals?
Lime.
Lime. What will lime do?
Bring it down.
No.
No.
Raise it.
Raise it up. All right. In our area, we pretty much are to the point that it is acidic and we need lime. And that's one of those situations where there's a chemical balance in the soil, and if the pH is too low or too high, chemicals are bound to soil particles and to each other, and the roots can't get it. So if you get in a situation and have a limited budget, buying lime is, you'll get more return than you would for fertilizer, because if your pH is too low and you put out that, you know, and you're put out the fertilizer, you know, it's not going to work right. You're not going to get the benefit. So if you get a limited thing, then a limited budget, then you want to go with pH and putting lime on first. Now this is where, like I said, we'll get into it a little bit longer, but one of the things we've done is you get a soil sample because of being in the class. So, you know, we'll give you the bags, we'll talk about how to do it, if you're in town during the week, you can bring them in if you want to bring them back next Saturday. And you'll get a report back. And that's the first thing I always try to look at is the pH, if you need some lime to do that. And that's one of the benefits. All right, if the pH is too high, how can you change it?
Sulfur?
Adding sulfur. And a prime example, the other day, a gentleman down in Gilmer County had had bought a house. He did his front yard and he did the garden area. The front yard needed lime. The garden area was too high. You know, apparently they've been gardening and throwing lime there, you know, so they had to do that. All right, what do the numbers on the fertilizer bag mean?
Nitrogen. Percent.
Potash. Yeah, NP and K, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. Now, the thing to keep in mind when you're looking at that, and this is to me the differences in your fertilizer, is the fact that those are percentages. So if you've got a 100-pound bag of 10, 10, 10, you only have 30 pounds of fertilizer in that 100-pound bag. You got 10%. You got 10 pounds of N, 10 pounds of P, and 10 pounds of K. So the different grades, and you hear a lot of times people say, "I put out fertilizer, but then I saw all these little rocks, or I saw all this stuff on the ground that it did," and that's just the carrier that's in the fertilizer. So if you don't have, you know, if you buy some of the cheaper, or I shouldn't say cheaper because none of it's cheap now. Economical, you know, the carrier is not something that's going to melt as fast or break down. You'll see some of that. So a lot of times you'll see triple 19. That's almost twice as much fertilizer, but a lot of times it's not necessarily twice as expensive. So see, you might pay more per bag for triple 19, but you're getting twice as much. So if it's like, say, half again as much, you're better off to buy triple 19 than you are triple 10, because instead of 10 pounds, you're getting 19 pounds. One of the things that you look at when you look at Scott's, and they make a good product, and you know, is that there's some other micronutrients in there, not just the NP and K, because plants do need magnesium, they need a little bit of zinc, they need a little iron, you know, iron and stuff like that. So a lot of times with Scott's, what you're getting is those other little things that go along with the nitrogen. Okay, how many have heard of ammonium nitrate? Yeah. Everybody's heard of that because of Oklahoma City or whatever. Can you find it anywhere? It's hard to find, simply because dealers, I was talking to Scott Nelson over at Nelson's Ace Hardware in Blairsville. They've got a good garden center, and they work with the farmers and do a lot. I don't know if you travel anywhere, but they do a lot over there, the co-op here. It's unbelievable the record keeping that he has to do for ammonium nitrate. He has to be able to account for every bag that comes in and out. And that's just because of people turning it into bombs. So here, 99% of the people need it to grow stuff, but yet we have that to have to, you know, to do with. Now, when I talk about ammonium nitrate, what do you think the analysis of it is? It's 3400. It's 34% nitrogen, but it doesn't have anything else with it. So sometimes you'll get some places that you might not need any phosphorus or potash, because the phosphorus will stay in the ground for a long time. And that's one of the concerns about chicken litter, is that it contains a lot of phosphorus and it will build up over time. And that's why we've got nutrient management plans that we go through to try to work with them, doing soil samples, doing litter analysis, so that they're not putting out too much phosphorus, you know. But so, and that's where this soil sample, which normally is a $9 test, you know, that can tell you right there. You might not need any phosphorus. You might not need any potash. So why pay for something you don't need? And also with Scott's, the other thing, especially in South Georgia, not so much up here with fescue, but it'll be like a 12-4-8 or a 16-4-8. It doesn't have much phosphorus in it because it builds up in the soil, and some of the grasses in South Georgia, it can really mess them up. Number 4, in what zone is Fannin County located?
7.
All right. But what is that zone based on?
Average, earliest freeze or latest freeze.
The lowest temperature, the hardiness zone as far as the low temperatures. So it's based, you know, and that's why you can't grow palm trees. Last frost. I mean, traditionally it's around April 15th, you know, some of them closer to May 1st. It just depends on, you know, I've been here, like I said, we've had a heavy freeze on Mother's Day, which is what, the second Sunday in May. So, and that's why, and we'll get into some of these, you know, except for maybe potatoes and some other earlier things, don't get excited about planting a vegetable garden until May the 1st, or, you know, or the 10th or 15th. What does VFN refer to?
No idea.
Verticillium, fusarium, and nematode resistant.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, of course it does.
You know what it amounts to, and this came about, and you'll see on the tag, you'll see VFN a lot of time, and that's what it. Those are a couple of diseases. Now nematodes are a little microscopic worm that they sting the roots and cause the roots not to be as efficient as. And we don't have too many nematodes here. It's mostly sandier soils, you know. Okay, how many square feet in an acre? 43,560. 43,560. Roughly 200 by 200. Okay, does lichen hurt a plant?
Yes.
I'd say, yeah.
No. It's a strange plant in that lichen is more of an indicator that the plant's not doing good. You know, if you'll see, lichen grows on rocks and stuff like that. So if you've got a tree that's declining, for some reason it'll grow on it. It doesn't mean it's not hurting the tree. You would think it's a parasite and hurting the tree, right, but it's just an indication that the tree's not doing good, or the plant. So you need to try to find ways to get the plant more thrifty, either fertilize, lime, mulching, you know, aerating the soil around it and getting it going again. Okay, number 9. I almost hate to go to that one. Are lady beetles good or bad?
Good.
Bad.
They are actually beneficial because they do eat other insects, but up here we've got a unique situation where they get in your house and can just be a nuisance. And I've had people call me that are just crying, or you know, some of the cabin rental places have told me their best cabins they want to rent, they can't do it in October because they're full of ladybugs. So basically they're good, and that's what's so bad, because they are beneficials. Companies are struggling with what to do. You know, they've tried to come up with some traps to trap them because you don't want to kill them because they are beneficial. All right, can 7 be used inside?
I would say no, just out of fact it's a serious chemical.
Right. Yes, 7 can be used inside.
Okay.
It is very good for fleas.
Oh,
so if
yeah,
you've got carpet,
yeah,
you can sprinkle it in the carpet and then vacuum it up. And then the chemical name, when I did this, it was about the only one. The chemical name for 7 is carbaryl. So you'll sometimes see it as a generic form of carbaryl. It's the same thing as 7. You know, can be used like that. All right, what do the 4 H's in 4-H stand for?
Ho, 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 ho. Home.
Head, heart, hands, and health.